Hey there, Gary Parrish. Welcome back. CBS Sports Eye on College Basketball podcast, where we sometimes discuss camel fighting, dodo, birds, and leaky black. The Eye on College Basketball podcast is presented by Jersey Mike's, a sub above. Matt Norlander is here with me. If you watch it on YouTube, you know what to do to the like button. Shouts to Brandon Davies. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the CBS Sports College Basketball YouTube channel, please also do that while you're here. Let's get into it. I want to start in the Big Ten, where Michigan State and Michigan both won at the buzzer on back-to-back nights to remain tied atop the league standings. Awesome stuff past two nights. First, Trey Holloman lifted Michigan State past Maryland. Then Namari Burnett lifted Michigan past Rutgers. Let's take them in the order that they happened. Let's watch Maryland's Jacoby Gillespie go a little too soon in the final seconds of a tie game, and then watch Trey Holloman make him pay for it.
Gotta go. Gillespie for three. Call or no. Holloman looks the clock. Half court for the win. Oh my goodness. Holloman from half court to win it on the road.
That's a hard way to have your heart ripped out, isn't it? Having your heart ripped out at home like that. That was he went a little early and he paid the price.
That was by the way, credit Big Ten Network and Jason Horowitz with a great call. Him and Hummel run the call. Are we going back to back? Are we showing last night right away? GP, what do you want to do?
Yeah, let's show them both.
Not if you got it. Let's get the other one. Let's go. If you got it.
Finds Wolf to Burnett for the win. Shots at the buzzer.
So that one was on Thursday night. That's
Yep.
Michigan over Rutgers. The Wolverines actually trailed the game by as many as 13 points. Seemed on their way to a quad 2 loss, but then they do what they always do. They rallied and they won another close game after Dusty May got on his dry erase board. He called a late timeout. He was going to let it play out for a second. Then it didn't look right. Called the timeout. Drew up a play, and afterward, I assume you saw his post game on Peacock. He was like, "Oh no, Burnett was the last option," and then Danny got him the ball, and he made the shot, and just two great nights in the Big Ten between two in-state rivals. And as you know, they're both 14-3 in the league now. Both will be favored in their next two games. If things go as planned, they would then meet on the final Sunday of the regular season inside the Breslin Center, where Tom Izzo could either get his 11th Big Ten regular season title, Dusty May could get his first, or both could end up happening. And you'll be able to watch that on CBS. It's America's most watched network. It's the network of stars.
Yeah, credit to Peacock for the call. Next two games for each of these.
I don't want to give credit to Peacock for the call.
Well, that's kind of the thing you should do. That we showed the clip on air. I want to give credit for the network that did it.
But make it clear, Norlander's doing that, not me.
Correct. Next two games for Michigan State: Sunday, Wisconsin, CBS. We'll get to that later in the show.
America's most watched network.
Thursday at Iowa, and then they face Michigan. And the Michigan's next two are home to Illinois, home to Maryland, at Michigan State. We'll see. We'll see if they are indeed tied. Would like for them to be going into the final one. I was obviously just in Ann Arbor and East Lansing. I spent time with Tom Izzo and Dusty May, so I will have a story next week about both of those coaches and both of those programs in the lead into what could be a tremendous regular season finale between these two. The fact that they won on consecutive nights in a situation in which they are both atop the Big Ten standings and needed extremely unlikely baskets to go in order to do it. I mean, the Holloman thing, let's take it in chronological order. So Michigan State continues to be outrageously good down the stretch recently. It didn't allow Illinois to score a single field goal in like the final 8 minutes. It played Michigan when I was there, and that was more than 4 minutes of no field goals, no points, period. And then against Maryland in the final 5 minutes of the game, not a single field goal made. I don't know what is happening with Michigan State down the stretch, but they have become, the 85 Bears. It's wild to see how good they have been in those situations, in those circumstances, and it's why Michigan State is where it is right now. On the flip side, oh, by the way, we're talking mostly Sparty and the Wolverines, but Maryland's most 3 recent losses have come in heartbreaking fashion. They lost at the buzzer to Northwestern earlier this month. They got beat on a banked-in 3 at Ohio State by Bruce Thornton, and that was, I think there was like 5 seconds to go on that one, but the 3 was still outrageous that went in. And then Trey Holloman just coolly cashes from, I think that was 60 feet. I mean, that was just bang. And the 3 was taken too early by Gillespie, obviously. Like, just too far. It was almost the same spot on the floor as Burnett's winner the next night from Michigan, but it felt rushed, and you want to just make sure you get the last shot off in that situation. Instead, it's a little bit of a scramble, and Maryland's fan base in this moment, like, because Kohler missed the bunny, GP, on the other end of the floor for Michigan State. He missed it, and you're like, oh man, was that their chance? Are we going to overtime? Well, what's Maryland going to do here? And the game just ended in a flurry, and then just the fan base is just, and I saw a couple of the videos of in the arena, and when you're in so you can see, you had a wider view of everything, and the one person you can't miss because he's standing in the front row courtside, and he's 6'7", is Scott Van Pelt, who's just like locked in on his Terps. And then the shot goes in, and you can just see the life suck from his body because he lives and dies with his Terps. Just a incredible scene on Wednesday night for Michigan State to continue doing this. And I know Terrapin fans are aware of this, but if you aren't aware, MSU has now beaten Maryland 7 times in a row. And to twist the knife even further, they did it by scoring their fewest points in a game of the season and holding Maryland to its fewest points in a game of the season.
It's such a weird experience for a home crowd when you secure a rebound, you're coming up the court, shot clock off, game is tied. You really, in your head, are only considering 2 things at that point. We're either about to win this game or we're about to go to overtime. Those are the only 2 things that are in your head in that moment. We're either about to win this at the buzzer or we're going to overtime. It's not even under consideration that, oh no, there's a third option and it could be we lose in regulation. Like, you don't even have time to understand exactly what happened before it's already done. It's like walking into the room and there's boom, bullet to the back of your head. It's just over. You didn't even see it coming. Little dramatic. I got you. Little dramatic.
Little Joe. They got Joe Pesci. That's what happened.
They got Joe Pesci.
Pesci.
Maryland got Joe Pesci. You're like, what? Before you even know what's happening, it's already done. Maryland got Joe Pesci. It broke my heart for him. It broke my heart for him. But I was happy for Michigan State, though. It was fun to see.
That was fun. Michigan, the fact that they won this game again. Okay. Before we get into a little bit of the what to know about the game and the swings, broadly speaking, are you in on Michigan being top 15 team, Final Four contender, or are you more this team's a fraud because they've won their past 11 games?
Yes.
The past 11 games they've won have been by 1 to 4 points. They can't not stop winning close games. They can't. When I was there, I was like, well, you guys can't stop this. And they're like, it's close with a minute to go, 1 possession, we're going to win it. They formulated this belief. Where do you land on the Wolverines? Because they are becoming one of these teams, not just because of the good record and not just because of the way they play, but you have to watch their games. Almost every single one of them is close.
They're college basketball's Kansas City Chiefs. So I assume they're going to go to the national title game and then lose by 70. And everybody will say, see, they were frauds the whole time. Winning all those close games, it was going to catch up to them eventually. I'm somewhere in the middle. It's 11 victories now in the Big Ten by 4 or fewer points, which is a conference record. And I mean all conferences. Nobody has ever won 11 games in conference by 4 or fewer points. That's according to Jared Burson, the man who invented research. some of that clearly is Namari Burnett's going to make a shot. Take the same shot tomorrow, he might miss it, right? So some of it's that. Shots in the air, is it good or not? Some of it's, shot on the other end, is it good or not? Some of it is there are variables and there's variance and it's luck, and I got it. I will never believe, and I don't care how smart you are and how many details you have to explain it to me, I will never believe that it's all luck. That if you win a bunch of close games, you're just lucky, and if you lose a bunch of close games, you're just unlucky. Other stuff matters. And I thought last night was a perfect illustration of that. Now, I want to be clear. I have not watched the final seconds of every single Michigan close win. But
step up your game. Come on.
I'm working on it. All right. But I did watch the final minutes of last night's. And I think it's very important what happened in the final seconds. You had a coach on the sideline who was apparently going to let it play out. All right. Let's just let it play. Let her go, which is a very normal thing.
And we like to let it play. We do most of the time you want to let it play out. We want to just, let the guys go and do their thing. But in this case, it was the right call to call the timeout.
Except it wasn't his decision initially to call the timeout. It looked like he was going to let it play out. And then he saw nothing was developing. And then he quickly, split-second decision, called the timeout. I think they put 3.6 on the clock. And then he was able to draw up that play and get Burnett a clean look at a game-winning shot that he made. That's coaching. That's coaching, because you immediately recognized something on a court that you didn't like and stopped it and said, okay, let's reset. I promise you, if he would have recognized it 0.4 of a second earlier, he would have loved to have had a little bit more than 3.6 left. But he recognized it. When he recognized it, called the timeout and put his team in a position to win. A coach on the sideline used a timeout to take his team from a position where it looked in a scramble mode and put it in a position to win the game. That's coaching. That's not luck. That means something. And I think whether it's coaches or players, and almost regardless of the sport, there are certain people who are built for moments like that and other people who are not built for moments like that. And last night I thought was a perfect example. Michigan's got a coach who's built for a moment like that, and Michigan had a player who was built to make a shot like that.
And a player built to make the pass. I thought everything coalesced because, as you mentioned, Burnett was the last option on the play, and Danny Wolf is a tremendous player. He actually had one of his down nights. He finished with 10 points, 8 boards, 4 assists, 2 turnovers in 33 minutes, but he finds himself in a spot where he does not have the shot. A little leak out in between, get it to Burnett, and Dylan Harper, he was caught out of position, clearly. Burnett. Now, Burnett was out there. Don't get me wrong. It's not like he was toes creeping up on the three-point line or anything like that. Like, it was a long-distance shot. Seemed to be, 20, 25, 26 feet range or so. And so Harper he tried to get there in time. It wasn't enough to affect the shot in a significant way because the shot obviously went in. And Michigan gets the win with just more good thinking by Wolf. Vlad Golden played really well. He had 22 points. He had 11 boards. He did have 5 turnovers, but if you watched over the course of the game, I think he was as impactful as anyone. Dylan Harper finished with 17. Ace Bailey had 13. And Rutgers is now 14-15, by the way. So it is in danger of not making the Big Ten tournament. I'm going to check the league standings real quick here, GP, and then give you what Peichel said after. Because the Big Ten's now 18 schools, of course, which is absurd, but that's the life we live now. And the bottom 3 will not make it. In league play, Minnesota, Minnesota, USC, Iowa. Rutgers is actually okay. They're 7-11. Then you've got Northwestern, USC, Iowa, Minnesota are all 6-11. Penn State and Washington are in danger at most of missing it. So we'll see what happens there and whether or not they get to it or not. Peichel afterward, he had some pretty raw audio. I think it's Brian Fonseca, who's one of the local beat writers, does a really good job there. He shared it. It wasn't video. It was just I think it was just an audio clip, but I caught it this morning shortly before we went live. And, the clip sounded like, well, something that we would get today, but it also sounded like, man, this sounds like right out of 1977. He was just, you could hear the despair in his voice. It just was raw sounding audio. And he was just just bleeping, just effing devastated for our effing guys. And I get it, man. This season has not gone the way that, not nearly the way that Peichel had wanted. It's tough. It really is. You're on the road. They were up. I think it was 13. I think Rutgers got up by as much as 13 in this game. Their biggest lead was 57-44 with a minute and change to go in the first half. And I mean, over the final 7-8 minutes, Michigan just kept chipping. Rutgers only shot 25% from the field after the break. It was a cave job. It really was. You go 1.11 points per possession on the road, GP, and you lose. That's tough. It's aided in part by they really went cold from 3-point range in the second half, and Michigan was able to overcome it. When Burnett hit the three, that was only the 5th triple for Michigan in the game. It's the last one, the one they needed. Wolverines win 84-82.
I mean, we've had a lot of conversations about disappointing teams, and Indiana's on that list. North Carolina is on that list. Arkansas has been on that list. Rutgers, obviously, a big part of it, and it must be just miserable for Steve. I mean, think about this. This guy's been coaching for a long time, been a successful head coach for a long time, and you suddenly find yourself against all odds in position to have what you believe is going to be the best season of your career. You're coaching 2 top 5 picks in a way that you probably never reasonably dreamed you could and will probably never do again. And I can remember talking to him at Peach Jam, and I made some passing comment like, how many 5 stars you getting out of this game? One of those. And he just sort of smiled and laughed. And you go from that to this. It must beat you down. I thought, not the apples to oranges, but Tommy Lloyd had a pretty emotional press conference.
Yeah, that was a good moment.
Great moment the night prior, and was just like, hey, listen, there's a lot of great stuff that comes with these jobs, but it's hard. And even when it's good, it's hard. And when it's not, it's, it can get real rough. And Steve's, I didn't hear Steve's audio this morning, but I'll take your word for it. I'm not surprised that he sounds like he's really going through it, because he has had a very difficult few months making millions of dollars. I guess that's the one way.
But yeah, listen, they get paid the money and
right.
And understandably so. But I mean, I remember just being on the road, sitting next to even going to USA. One of the Team USA basketball camps at Colorado Springs when Harper and Bailey were both there, but they hadn't committed to Rutgers yet. And it's Peichel and it's Brandon Knight, who was instrumental in making sure that happened, his chief assistant. And we're talking 3+ years of recruiting. And then it's just this. It falls flat entirely. Now Rutgers has to hope that it can be the NC State of 2025, which will be immensely difficult if they get into the Big Ten tournament, because the league is much more difficult. Right. And we thought, going into the season, we thought the NYC general area, would have a team that would be buzzworthy. Maybe they could be good enough to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament with a coach that had been at it for a while. And we do. We have one of them. We have St. John's. We don't have Rutgers. We thought we might get both. Maybe St. John's could be improved. It's a pretty stark difference. But with that said, St. John's, GP, it won against Butler earlier in the week for at least a share of the regular season title. Then Pitino told John Rothstein all of 70 seconds after the game went final, we're not interested in sharing anything. I like Greg McDermott plenty. We don't want to share this. And so St. John's can notch a really, really big, important, and just make it official kind of win Saturday on CBS.
That's right. 2:15 Eastern. That's going to be the tip. They have moved it from Queens to Midtown Manhattan. We'll talk St. John's Seton Hall next. First, let's get a word from our partners.
Who's in? Who's out? Let the madness begin. The NCAA Men's Basketball Championship Selection Show on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
2:15 Eastern. And by the way, I love that we're not trying to lie to anybody. Game's not tipping off at 2. So we're not going to say it's tipping off at 2.
Let's go. I know.
Let's be the honest network and America's most watched network.
That's what we are. Yes.
Yeah.
America's network for honesty.
We are America's most watched network for honesty. I actually don't think we're allowed to be playing around with slogans like this.
Okay. You led me down the path. Okay. Yank me off. Let's go. Okay, keep going.
We are America's most watched network for honesty. Evidence being that the official tip time for Seton Hall at number 7 St. John's is 2:15 Eastern Saturday on CBS Network of Stars. The Johnnies, as you said, they've already secured at least a share of the Bees title.
Yes,
that was courtesy of Wednesday's win at Butler. But Rick Pitino, he said, "No, we sharing nothing. We sharing nothing. We trying to get it outright for the first time since 1985." I don't know if it'll be a great game in Madison Square Garden. The Johnnies are big favorites, but it should be a great scene, a huge celebration that culminates with, the program's first outright Big East championship in 4 decades. Now, I know Shaheen Holloway screwed up John Calipari's life a few years ago. You don't think he's going to mess around with Rick Pitino's life, do you?
He's not. I don't think so. And even if Seton Hall pulled it off, first of all, that would be if that happened. Imagine going like a Seton Hall fan in the preseason and be like, "Hey, listen, you're going to beat St. John's is going to be like borderline for Final Four good. You're going to beat St. John's and you're going to beat UConn this season." They'd be like, "Oh, sign me up. Are you kidding me? Let's go." Now they got to do it. We'll see. Even if an L were to come for St. John's, which I can't imagine it, they got one more chance to wrap it up officially standalone. They got a full week off, and then they go to Marquette next Saturday. There's been all this talk and referencing, understandably so, about St. John's hasn't won an outright Big East regular season title since 84, 85. That's the only one it ever has in school history, by the way. There's never been another season now. The Big East has been around since 79, so it's not like we're going back to the 50s or 60s with this. But nevertheless, St. John's has only experienced this once, period. It has its best winning percentage right now since 85, 86. It's won 15 games in Big East play for the first time and only other time since 84, 85. And St. John's has not lost at home this season. 17-0, going for 18-0. The only other major conference trivia time.
Oh,
what's the only other major conference team not to lose at home this season?
Only other major conference team hasn't lost at home this season.
That's right.
I want to say Florida, but I don't think it's right. Then I want to say Tennessee, but I don't think that's right either.
I need an official guess.
Okay, my official guess will be the Duke Blue Devils.
Come on, Duke.
It is Duke. You pulled it out. Did you see it in the chat? Did anyone drop it? Someone dropped it in the chat. Did you see it in the chat?
Hand to heart on all of my son's lives, I did not see it in the chat.
St. John's is going for its 6th overall Big East regular season title, but only its 2nd outright. It won it in 80 shared, 83 shared, 85 outright, 86 shared, 92 shared. It's also, how about this? Just want to give a little historical context around what the Johnnies have done and are doing right now. So St. John's, and credit our CBS Sports research team for these nuggets here. They're going for their 5th NCAA. They're going to make the tournament for the 5th time in the past 25 years. It's only 5 in the past 25. They have the 2nd longest. I got another trivia time for you. They have the 2nd longest active drought by a high major team for an NCAA tournament win. St. John's has not won a tournament game since the year 2000. Who's the only high major team that's gone longer without an NCAA tournament win?
UMass Lowell.
No, that's not a high major team. I know you want it to be, but it's not yet.
They're
building up a hell of a program.
It should be. It should have already been taken by somebody. The new Pac-12 at the very least.
Yes.
I'm going to say my official answer is going to be Penn State.
No, I think Penn State won one just a few years ago. This team
They
has
shouldn't have, though.
it should. Okay, well, I guess you hate Micah Shrewsbury.
Oh no.
Yeah, well, this team has a in the eyes of some, it's got a difficult home arena to walk into.
Oh, I know it. It's because I actually talked to Fred Hoiberg about this. It's very important. He wants to be the person that gets an NCAA tournament win at Nebraska. And I said, I want you to be that person. So let's go do it.
Yeah, Nebraska has never won an NCAA tournament game. It's the only high major team. If you're on the treadmill, going on a run, driving in your car, washing your dishes, whatever, you heard me right. Nebraska that fan base has never experienced an NCAA tournament win. It's wild. The longest droughts right now are Nebraska from high majors, Power 5 teams. St. John's is 2000, Georgia 02, and DePaul hasn't made the tournament period since 04, but it did win a double OT game in the first round in 2004, the last time they got there. St. John's is about to end the second longest gap between top 4 NCAA tournament seeds. It should. I don't expect the Johnnies to drop out of the top 4 seeds by the time we get to Selection Sunday. Keep in mind, seeding didn't start until the late 70s, but Houston has the longest gap between a top 4 seed in the tournament from 84 to 2019. That's a 35-year gap between top 4 seeds, but Johnnies now 2000 to 2025 is when they're going to do it. Big stuff for what Pitino's doing, and he's going to become the first coach ever to take 6 schools to the NCAA tournament, which will be a distinct thing on his resume. The reasons why he had to coach 6 different schools, well, that's worth a book or two. But nevertheless, he's here now. St. John's is almost certainly going to win on Saturday, and he'll be in the white suit. It's a whiteout. So Pitino in the white suit. It's been a thing that he's done going back to his Louisville days. He hasn't broken it out this season. It will be the case in the Garden on CBS 2:15. Keep it honest, Saturday.
Let's move on and do the final 4-1 presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. I think I'm ready. It's presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. I can't talk.
Well, hold on. Before we do the final 4-1 presented by FanDuel Sportsbook, I feel like you leave it all out. I watched you in the studio. This didn't happen.
Oh, it did.
Oh, okay. I did not catch it when it happened.
Oh, it happened sometimes. I mean, I could sort of get through it, but it's just I actually asked somebody. I said, "Hey, what should I do?" And they said, "Rest."
Yes.
And I said, "Well, that doesn't."
Well, I
sound
mean,
possible.
listen.
When are you supposed to do that?
Hey, buddy, I almost checked in on you last night. I was like, "Are you feeling better? Do you want the Friday show off?"
The other thing. I feel fine. That's the thing. I feel fine, or I feel mostly fine. I feel like me, but just you insisting you can work just because you mostly feel fine doesn't make sense when the work requires you to speak and you can't.
It sounds like you're being inhibited by spirits. I know.
Yes. It sounds like I'm getting very emotional about FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. And that's because I am very emotional about FanDuel Sportsbook. You can make every moment more. Let's do the final 4-1. I'll update you on the records. They're not great, but I'll update you on the records. We'll do that next. Let's get another word from our partners.
Gives it to Jenkins for the championship. A 16 beats a 1. From sweet to elite to the Final Four.
Baby, that promo, if you're watching on YouTube and you're about ready for March to come, you don't even know. You just wait for Sunday's opener. What do we got, GP?
Hey, YouTube. All right. Last week you went 3-2. Congratulations.
There we go. No surprise.
I went 1-4. I had a rough week. I think I was trusting buildings a little more than I probably needed to.
Yeah, you got caught.
I think I was trusting buildings a little more than I needed to, and it resulted in a 1-4 mark. So now on the season, I'm 34, 44-2.
Oh, God.
Norlander's 37, 41-2.
I'll take it.
We're doing the best we can. All right. If you want winners, go talk to Katie Mox. She's got the winners. We just say stuff. All right. Yeah. We'll try to be better this time. Game 1 Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern. It's number 1 Kentucky. Number 1 Auburn. Whoa, now I don't mean to get ahead of myself. It's number 1 Auburn at number 17 Kentucky inside Mark Pope Arena. You can watch it on ABC. Kim Pom's got it Auburn -5.
Have you seen the stat going around in the past couple of days about this game? The factoid. Have you seen the factoid?
Popped up. I can't hear a word you're saying.
He says, I can't. Can you hear me now, Parrish?
I hear you now.
Okay. Have you seen the factoid going around about this game over the past couple of days?
I have not.
Auburn has not won at Rupp Arena since 1988. 88.
That's more recently than St. John's has won an outright Big East title.
It is more. We could really have a couple eras just could come crumbling down this weekend on Saturday. Shock level for you, surprise level, I guess. If Kentucky wins this game, give me a percentage. If Kentucky wins, surprise level, not the likelihood they win. Your surprise level 1 to 10 if Kentucky wins and continues this streak going on 32 years will be what?
A 3? I mean, it's like, you ready for this? If Kentucky upsets Auburn, it will not be the biggest upset of the weekend.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, it's a basketball game played inside Rupp Arena with a top 20 Kentucky team that is healthier now than it has been in recent weeks. I mean,
yeah.
Auburn smashes everybody. I mean, my God, they were a 13.5-point favorite over an Ole Miss team that's been in the top 25 much of the season and just blasted them by 30. They have a multi-game lead in the toughest conference in the history of the sport. They're incredible, like incredible. But could they lose a road game at Kentucky? Yeah, anybody could lose a road game at Kentucky.
They are healthier. Jackson Robinson seemed to have more issues with the wrist in the game against Oklahoma. Kentucky won at Oklahoma since we last podcasted, I want to say. That was Wednesday night. Yeah, because Otega Owe, oh, by the way, he had like the final 18 points for Kentucky on the road against his former school, including the game-winning basket.
He told Oklahoma, he said, "Get your NIL up. Get your NIL up." He was yelling at him to get their NIL up.
Is that what he said? Well, he did.
No, I'm making that up.
Okay, they won the game, and then he was waving him on. He's like, "I want to hear all of it. You all aren't booing loud enough. I can't hear it." And then Brandon Garrison, who has got some animosity toward Oklahoma because he's a former Cowboy from Stillwater, and even before, like, Oklahoma's investigating someone threw, I think, a beer can, and it got close to hitting Garrison. But even before we got to that point, like, he had an issue with Oklahoma's players. So it actually got a little bit testy there. Oklahoma, by the way, you had Kentucky on a platter and you lost the game. You can't be losing those games. They're 4-11 in the SEC. Damaging loss for the Sooners on Wednesday night. Meantime, just an impressive way for Kentucky to win. I mean, to have one dude score all of your points in the final 12 plus minutes of the game on the road. Owe, I said it a few shows back, GP. Like, Owe has been the most consistent and reliable player for Kentucky this season. That was not the projected outcome for this UK team. If you would have gone preseason, looked at the roster and say, okay, who are going to be your guys that are just game over game you can rely on? I think Owe honestly would have been 6 or 7 deep on that list before you got to it. He has been that guy. Interested to see how he steps up in this one. And frankly, I would think Denver Jones is going to be draped all over him. He's a tremendous defender. Look for that one-on-one matchup in this game. I won't be surprised either. You said a 3 on the surprise level. I'm right there with you. I think Kentucky's got a shot. But Jackson Robinson, is he going to play? Is he going to be limited? How much was that wrist dinged in the game against Oklahoma? They did get Lamont Butler back as well. We still wait on Kirk Kriisa and the if and when of him returning. But, just a terrific matchup. I think a win here, by the way, locks up Auburn for the number 1 overall seed. They're going to get it anyway, but I'm saying, like, if they win at Kentucky, Auburn could literally afford to lose every game the rest of the season. It would still get the number 1 overall seed. I think this is the lock game for them if they can do it on the road and win there for the first time since '88. What'd you say the projected line is?
Auburn -5.
I'm gonna pick Auburn. I picked against Auburn previously. It backfired. I won't be surprised if Kentucky wins. I actually think Kentucky's got this feels like it's got a really fun shot at being a really fun game. I think you'd agree, GP. But I'm not picking against Auburn. And my last thing on this is they're coming off the win Wednesday night against Ole Miss. Not only did Auburn score 106 points in that game, not only did Auburn beat a comfortably projected single-digit NCAA tournament team by 30.
Yeah.
Auburn scored 1.49 points per possession in that game. It's the most efficient offensive game in Auburn history. They're coming off in history. It's in KenPom's database, which is 96-97. I think it's highly unlikely Auburn in the 60 years of hoops before that ever had a more efficient game. So I will take the Tigers -5 on the road.
I want to be clear. It was not Otega Owe who was yelling, "Get your NIL up" at Oklahoma. It was me. I was sitting in the broadcast.
I thought you were about to say it was Porter Moser.
I mean, it should be. It should have been. I mean, that is a thing, isn't it? That's a thing, right?
To a certain extent, yes.
Yeah. Get your NIL up. You can't lose an Otega Owe to Kentucky and then have him come back in and do that. You got to get your NIL. You got to get your NIL up. Can't be walking around the SEC broke. It's no way to walk around the SEC. All right?
Absolutely not.
That is not how you want to be walking around the SEC. All right? I'm a building truster. You know that about me. You know that about me.
You just don't get it, do you?
Don't even tell me. Don't even tell me you're going to do this.
I'm a building truster. Now, I'm also a Bruce Pearl truster, so this is very difficult for me. But do I think Auburn will win the game? Yes, I'm going to say Auburn wins the game. But giving Mark Pope 5 points inside Mark Pope Arena is disrespectful.
Yeah,
it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. Kentucky plus the 5. That's the play.
Okay.
Game 2 Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern. It's number 10 Texas Tech at Kansas inside TJ Gass Nola Fieldhouse. You can watch it on ESPN. KenPom's got it, Kansas -1. And let's see if Bill Self has to deny anything else before tip-off. This poor guy, why do we keep everybody making him deny stuff? He has to deny he's going to Oklahoma State. Then he has to deny he's retiring. Why are we making
I didn't realize. I know we had talked about that Kansas is like he's going through maybe his most frustrating season of his career, 1 year removed from his most frustrating season of his career. I get that. I didn't. I'll be honest. Like if I did, I would tell. I did not get any whiff of Bill Self is going to retire.
Neither did I. It was like Bill Self is told us that he's retiring, and I'm like, who thought Bill Self was retiring?
I just start cold texting coaches asking if they're going to retire and just make a story out of it.
Text Grant McCaslin right now. Just tweet right now. Grant McCaslin has told the Island College Basketball Podcast he has no plans to retire. Quote, there's no truth to that at all.
Oh man. Don't think I won't. I don't think and McCaslin's actually he's a funny dude. He might handle it well.
Grant would quote tweet it.
He really might.
Red Raider for life.
Oh man. Hey, Grant McCaslin has the number 7 team at KenPom. They 21-7. Now dropped 2 of the past 3 and 3 of the past 6. So this was an 18-4 team that is now a 21-7 team. And it's got to go on the road here. Don't know the health and status situation actually of unless McCaslin updated media Thursday and I didn't see it on Darian Williams, who did not play in the most recent game. So we wait on him. Chance McMillan had missed the past 2 games as well. I think one of those was due to illness. Not knowing the status of that, I will take Kansas -1 in this game.
Oh, look who's become a building truster.
No, it's got nothing to do with that. It's got nothing to do. Although if there is a building to trust, actually, Is this the one that I did? No, it wasn't. Was it this one? Yeah, I think it is. I think when I did the picks remotely on the ski slope, and I recorded and I sent it in, I think this was the one because they played Arizona. I think was that it? I can't remember.
You're arguing with yourself.
I'm taking after you. And I think Fog Allen was the one building that I said I'm gonna trust the building. I think that was it. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I know I trusted a building because I said I can't believe I'm doing this right now. Sure. If you want me to say I'm trusting this building, I'm trusting Fog Allen on Saturday.
I mean, I just have a rule like Kansas in basically a coin flip situation at Allen Fieldhouse with Bill Self, as long as he doesn't retire before tip off. All right.
Yeah.
Text Bill and see if he can confirm that he plans to coach.
Bill Self and asking if he's retiring.
Text Bill Self and say, can you confirm you're going to coach this weekend?
You do it. You text him.
Hey, Bill, just reach it out. I know you said you're not going to retire, but can you confirm?
I need you to confirm again.
I need you to confirm one more thing for me. I'm assuming Bill Self's going to coach on Saturday, all right? And -1, it's the Jayhawks. It's the preseason #1 laying a point at home. I mean, what do you want from me? All right? We're going Jayhawks -1. Game 3 Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern. It's number 6 Alabama at number 5 Tennessee inside Dane Bradshaw Arena. You can watch it on ESPN. Kim Pom's got it. Tennessee -5.
Justin, it's Saturday. How lucky are we? I mean, March arrives.
Well, I mean, I can't speak or breathe, so I don't know.
You are breathing.
But
yes or no? Are you breathing?
Barely breathing is better than not breathing at all. I think that's a decent way to put it.
I think that was Duncan Sheik circa 96, and I can't find the air. Don't know who I'm kidding. Imagining you care. You know it?
Yeah. No.
You don't know the song?
Say it again. I don't. It didn't pop into my head. No.
Wow.
Say it. You say it and see if I can get it.
I am barely breathing, and I can't find the air.
Yeah, I know that. But then I would change the station when that came out.
I mean, adult contemporary classic right there.
Yeah, I would change it. That's why I didn't recognize it, because I would change the station very quickly. I wasn't a nerd.
You know, you might have found me bopping to it when I was back in high school. And you know what? Frankly, Pop Rocks, Sirius XM. I mean, that song gets played, I think, every single day. I've heard that song in the car, intentionally or unintentionally, monthly, forever. Anyway, Bama, Tennessee. How lucky are we? Come on now. Come on, this Saturday slate. Are you kidding me, Parrish?
I'm not kidding you.
Let's go. This is a great game. Bama and Tennessee. Trivia time. Have they played the season yet or not?
Come on.
Trivia time.
I don't even know if I played the season or not.
They have not met yet this season. Two teams fighting for the one line. Levy's like, how the hell am I supposed to know if 2 of the 5 best teams in the country have faced off?
Are you crazy? Do you even know where my head's at right now? I was on radio yesterday, and I was asked, they're like, all right, before we get out of here, so what's the big game this weekend? I was like, bro, I have not even looked past.
You think I do? You think I talk about and cover college basketball? Why are you asking me this question?
I feel like my eyeballs are just above the water, and I'm just doing this all day long, trying to keep my eyeballs just above the water. I'll figure out what I got to know on Saturday by Saturday, but you can't expect me to know about Saturday on Thursday morning. That's too much.
Oh gosh, that is classic. That is classic Gary Parrish right there. They have not met the season, only scheduled meeting. I feel like somehow, some way, these two are going to find each other again in the SEC tournament. But Tennessee gets the benefit of playing this game at home at Thompson Bowling. I know you said Tennessee -5, right? The same line as Auburn at Kentucky.
That's what it says. Yeah, that's what it says. Yes, Tennessee -5.
Again, just inhabited by. It feels like a medium is taking over you at some time when I'm trying to get a little something from you. Buddy, get better. You know,
I would like to be better.
Oh man, this game has immense potential. Tennessee is the #1 defense in the country. Alabama is the #3 offense and the fastest team in the country. It's coming off a game Tuesday night. We talked about it on the Wednesday show, but as a reminder, Alabama sank 22 threes. It shot 49% from beyond the arc. Over under, Alabama shoots. Well, for the season, Alabama is a 35% shooting team. Take into account Tennessee's defense. Over under, Alabama shoots 31.5% from 3-point range on the road against Tennessee on Saturday. Parrish,
I'm taking over.
You're going to say over.
Yes, I'm gonna fall victim to recency bias and say
don't we all?
That team I just watched. Yeah, I think they'll. I mean, what, 32%? Yeah, I'll say Alabama's going to shoot at least 32% from 3. Inside the arena formerly known as Thompson Bowling.
It's always Thompson Bowling to me.
It should be.
Yeah. I'm not giving that up. Mark Sears in this kind of game on the road, very interested to see how he steps up. I mean, Ziegler on Sears, can he get his shot? Can he have room to breathe? Will Ziegler, and or if they decide, I mean, Meshack's a much bigger player, but Meshack can guard him. Will they have him in jail most of the afternoon? The number is now Bama does seem to have some variance to it, and Bama, as a reminder, like they've had a tough go, but they won both at home, at Tennessee, home Florida, at Auburn. This is how they're going to close out. I will say Tennessee wins, but give me the Tide inside the number. So I think great matchup, and I think it winds up being a great game. Tennessee wins by 2, 3, 4 points.
Yeah, what Alabama did to Mississippi State the other night, I think I mentioned it. Kevin Skravinsky, a longtime columnist in Alabama, had noted, like, when they do that, who's better? And the easy thing to say is like Auburn or Duke, but like when they do that, I don't think Auburn, Duke, or anybody could survive that type of shooting performance from Alabama. And that's how they could eliminate literally anybody in a single elimination tournament. If I were one of the 1 seeds, and Alabama might end up as one of the 1 seeds, but if they're not, that's the type of team I'd want to stay away from. Like, put them in a different region than me, because I think if you're Auburn and you look at most of the 2s, you go, as long as we play well, we'll win that game. As long as we play well, we'll beat that team. Duke can probably say that about most of the 2s, but maybe Houston as well. But if one of the 2s is Alabama, you playing well is not good enough against them if they also do something like that. And they're obviously capable of doing something like that. They did it against a really good Mississippi State team the other night. Yeah, it's hard to pick against Tennessee at home. They've only lost 1 time there this season and have like blown out some really good teams in Knoxville. But I'll take the really good team plus the points and assume we'll have a competitive game. Alabama plus the 5. Game 4, Sunday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Number 11, Wisconsin at number 8, Michigan State, inside the Drew Neitzel Center. You can watch it on CBS. Kim Pom's got it, Michigan State -3. Oh, it's a little bitty number.
Kids, if you're not familiar with Drew Neitzel, go do some YouTubing. Good game on CBS. And keep it in honest, because the game after this, which I'll get to in just a few. The stagger tip time, that's how we do here. Trivia time, have these teams met this season so far?
Come on.
They have not. Just like Alabama and Tennessee, Wisconsin and Michigan State, this is the only scheduled meeting between Bucky and Sparty. Michigan State has won 4 in a row, 5 of the past 6. What was intriguing about what they did is they dropped the home game to Indiana, and then 3 of the next 4 were on the road, and you thought, well, and at that point, Michigan State had lost 3 of its previous 4. You thought, I'm not so sure about this. Well, Tom Izzo kind of knows what he's doing, and Jace Richardson continues to come along. Although I want to say, I think he was the only guy in double figures against Maryland. He had 15. Next highest score was Zappala with 7. No, Trey Holloman had 9. Okay. Wisconsin, just puke on your shoes loss last Saturday at home in OT against Oregon. They won at home Tuesday night against Washington. It wasn't even close. Greg Gard's team is 22-6. If it wants to have a hope of, having a share of the Big Ten regular season title, it needs to win the game. It's 2 games behind Michigan and Michigan State in this game. Badgers do have some real scores. John Tonje, Tonje's probably, he's 3rd-team All-American at worst right now, but I could be talked into him being a 2nd-team All-American at this stage of the season. Has been a really, really good 3-point shooter and just has played so well in an unexpected way. He was a really good player at Colorado State for a number of years. He went to Missouri last year, got hurt, transferred to Wisconsin. No one made much of a deal of it. And then look at what he's been able to do. Between him, Blackwell is a very opportunistic player. And then you combine those with, Klesmit in the backcourt. They've got a good thing going. They got a couple of tall trees in Crowell and Winter as well. I think it's a low line for a reason. I will, let's get spicy. I'll take Wisconsin to cover that number. Yeah. Breslin will be on fire. The game's going to be just an awesome watch on CBS, but I'll take the Badgers to be inside. I'm already regretting it as I'm saying it, but what the hell? Why not? Let's go shoot some birds. I'm psyched.
Mentioned earlier, Michigan State and Michigan, both 14-3 in the Big Ten. Michigan State at this point is projected to win at least a share of the Big Ten title, which would give Tom Izzo his 11th Big Ten regular season title, and that would tie him for most all-time. Trivia time. Who holds the record for Big Ten regular season championships in the sport of men's basketball with 11 Big Ten titles?
Okay. This feels like you're wanting me to say Bob Knight and won't be Bob Knight. So give me two guesses. My first guess is Bob Knight.
Bob Knight is one of them, but there is another man who has accomplished the same thing.
Gene Katie.
Gene Katie is an incorrect answer.
Is it Bo Ryan?
Incorrect answer.
Is it Juwan Howard?
Incorrect answer.
Give me a hint.
Juwan led the Big Ten in scuffles.
I don't think he got Bob Knight on that one. I think Bob Knight still led the Big Ten in scuffles.
Juwan Howard, second Big Ten in scuffles.
Give me the hint. Who's the other coach?
I think I could give you a million hints and you would never get this.
Oh, okay. I'm done. It's over for me.
This man was born in 1888.
I'm done. 1888?
Yes.
88?
And guess where he was born? Deadwood.
Deadwood? South Dakota?
This dude was kicking it with Wyatt Earp. I'm talking about the
Al
great
Swearingen?
Ward Lambert.
My answer is officially Al Swearingen.
Al
People don't realize, hold on, people do not realize that this dude could actually coach ball like you've never seen before. He was the precursor to 2-year-old Tony Hinkle.
Al Swearingen.
Did you see the action Swearingen used to run at Northwestern back in the 1918 season? Big time. That's my guess. Al Swearingen.
Al Swearingen led Purdue to 11 Big Ten titles. Which you would have thought HBO would have spent a little more time on that.
I agree. But if you watch, I think it's episode 3 or 4 of the first season when he goes into one of the brothels. I think there's an old Purdue jersey hanging in the corner.
And if you pay close attention, and like there's a lot going on in Deadwood, so you might have to catch it on the second watch. But there is a scene in episode 7, season 1, where he walks into the bar, Al Swearingen, and he's got a whistle around his neck.
Oh, I missed that.
No, go look.
Guy can coach him up, man.
No, you know what they always said about Al Swearingen is like he could take his and beat you, and then he could take yours and give you his.
No, I think the saying was, and then if you try to take his, he'd kill you.
Dude, he just shoot you right in the
Yeah,
face.
and he'd just shoot you. Yeah.
What they would always say about Al Swearingen is he could beat you with his, and then he could give you his and shoot you right in the neck.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. There you go.
See? It was Ward Lambert.
Peggy.
Who played football, basketball, baseball. He played everything. This is back when people played everything.
I know.
Because you didn't know how much. You didn't know how long.
Yeah.
You didn't know how long you were going to have to live growing up in Deadwood, so you just played everything.
I think I said Peggy. It's Piggy.
69 years old. Good. If I tell you you're born in Deadwood in 1888, I bet you don't expect to make it to 69. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. It sounded like you just went underwater with that microphone, just so you know. You're back. I can tell. You're back.
All right.
It is such a Friday show right now. What the hell is the line on this game? Did we pick it?
Michigan State -3.
Yeah, I took Wisconsin. Sorry. Took a U-turn up into the Dakotas. My bad.
I'm taking Michigan State. I mean, this guy's only one. This guy, Tom Izzo, is one Big Ten championship away from Ward Lambert. All right. I mean, the guy's one title short of Ward Lambert. So,
I mean, his friends called him Piggy, just so we're clear on that.
Is that true?
Yes. When you said Ward Lambert, I instantly remembered Piggy Lambert. Yeah. You think I don't know Piggy?
I don't know if you knew Piggy.
I did know Piggy.
I didn't put any thought into whether or not you would recognize.
Lambert, this is Wikipedia, Gary Parrish's go-to source for all things research.
Everything I know, every single thing I know comes from Wikipedia.
Despite his height, 5'6", this guy was only 1 inch taller than Parrish. Despite his height, 5'6", Lambert led Wabash in scoring his sophomore year, leading to his nickname Piggy for hogging the ball.
What's a hog?
Imagine you go to college, you can barely field the team. It's 1907. You get some shots up. You're 19 years old. Everyone starts calling you Piggy, and you're like, I'm going to ride that for the next 60 years of my life.
It's so incredible. Good. Piggy Lambert, the ball hog.
And you know what? He became one hell of a coach. Not as good as Al Swearingen. Let's get to the rest of the weekend. It is a loaded weekend. We'll do the and one first. I'll do the and one first. It is Saturday. 2 good SEC teams. 2 teams that are now heading toward the NCAA tournament. 6 Eastern, SEC Network. It is number 14 Missouri at Vanderbilt. What should I name the court here, GP?
Vanderbilt should be named Brian Douglas Coliseum.
John Jenkins Court. John Jenkins Court. Vandy. Mark Byington's doing a really, really good job. 19-9. Won at Texas A&M on Wednesday night, 86-84. In an end-of-game scenario that was as bad and delayed and frustrating as any I've seen this season, and there have been dozens of candidates. It was atrocious, but Vandy got the win. I'll save that discussion for March because it's going to happen again, and we got to change it. We can't have the final 2 minutes of a game take more than a half hour to complete. That's exactly what happened in College Station.
And again, we will have this conversation in the offseason, but like needs to change before next season.
Yes.
Like whatever committees you got to get together, however it's got to, whatever the protocols, it's got to be fixed. We can't, it is ruining the end of games. It is taking all of the everything from the end of games. And it's also unnecessary. The other night we're sitting in studio, I guess it was the San Francisco game. Santa Clara game. Maybe
Gonzaga, Santa Clara.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Whatever, there was something that happened. It was end of game, and it was very clear the shot was late. All right, very clear. The shot was late. The game was over. Whatever game it was very clear. We watched it live, and it seemed clear live. All right. Then they go show us the replay. We watch it once. It's so obvious. And I said, okay, that's it. They should already, and they had to watch it 2 more times. Unnecessary. You don't like it's becoming a real drag on the end of games, and whatever you have to do to fix it, it needs to be fixed before we tip off next season.
Fix it, everyone. Vanderbilt is coming off its first road win against the top 12 team since 2000. Shouts to John Jenkins. And yeah, they've gotten 3 wins versus top 15 opponents this season. Missouri is another one here. They haven't done that since 06-07, the Kevin Stallings era. So intriguing game. Missouri has been, one hell of a team, one hell of a story. It's won 4 of its past 5. It's 10-5 in the SEC. It had no issues at home, obviously, earlier this week against South Carolina. Got picked off last weekend against Arkansas, but this is a program that has been able to defeat Alabama this season, went on the road to beat Mississippi State, went on the road and beat Florida. It's done a really good job. It beat Kansas in the border war back in December. Dennis Gates has done a tremendous job at 21-7. Goes on the road to play Vanderbilt, and I think I picked this game because I think it's got really fun potential to be a very, very good game. Missouri has been a top 5 offense this year. Gates just has the right combo of guys. It's been really cool to see. And Byington, I just happened to be making a few calls on Wednesday, and I wound up talking to someone in the front office of the NBA when I was watching that game and some other stuff. And as the phone call was about to end, the person was just asking, because they weren't in front of a television at that point, like, what are you watching? What's going on? And I mentioned this game, and this person basically said, dude, I don't know that guy, meaning Mark Byington. He's like, I don't know him, but the stuff he runs and the reputation he has and just like his demeanor, I was like, he might be a future NBA coach, which no one had mentioned that to me before. Now, Byington was at JMU last year and the preceding years before that. He had a 32-4 team, and he has proceeded to go into a hard job in the SEC, and he has the Commodores tracking to the tournament. Interesting comment from someone that knows their stuff, and I don't know if it'll wind up being true or not eventually, but that certainly made my ears perk up, and I can understand what this person was coming from there. As for the game, Vandy is a 3-point dog at home against Dennis Gates Tigers. So Mizzou -3. Who you got?
Well, first, just on Mark, he was tremendous and has been tremendous since he got the Vanderbilt job. And it's just a reminder that this stuff doesn't take long to flip anymore at the power conference level. You can flip it in one off season, and you should. Pat Kelsey at Louisville, Mark Byington at Vanderbilt. We've discussed it all season. There are multiple and many examples of people who inherited bad situations or nothing situations. Mark Pope at Kentucky, and created a competent basketball team in year one. So if you're a fan base getting ready to go through a hiring process, if you hear your coach talk about it's a multi-year, that's a, it might be, but it doesn't have to be. And what's happening in Nashville right now is a reminder of that. I will say, as great as Mark's been at Vandy and as great as Dennis has been at Missouri, having a bounce back season from that disaster last season, I keep hearing people, I made this point on Inside College Basketball the other night, just sort of throw out all sorts of different people for SEC Coach of the Year. It can be only Bruce Pearl. I will go crazy if Bruce Pearl wins the toughest league in the history of the sport by multiple games.
That's the reason why.
Yeah, and they try to hand it to somebody else. Like, you can make anybody you want to within reason second on your ballot. But if Bruce Pearl wins the toughest league in the history of the sport by multiple games, he should be the unanimous SEC Coach of the Year, and yes, the National Coach of the Year as well.
Now I'm rooting for it not to happen because I want to see you erupt. now I want
Let me get my win back. Let me get my win back, and I'll be ready to go.
Who are you taking in the game?
I mean,
No.
You know what?
What?
Missouri's won some big games on the road.
Yes, I went over that 2 minutes ago.
I'm going to believe in Dennis Gates. I'm going to believe in the Tigers. I'm going to take Missouri and some points on the road.
I'll take Vandy at home with Byington. I really think this could be an awesome game. We'll see if I'm right. Elsewhere to know on the weekend, and then I want to give some shouts to some schools real quick that deserve it. Your viewing guide: UCLA plays at Purdue tonight, Friday. Good Big Ten matchup. That is the team that John Wooden coached versus the team that Al Swearingen used to coach and John Wooden used to play for at Purdue. At Piggy Ward Lambert's former school as well. So that's your Friday one. And then Saturday, UConn Providence, noon, CBS. It's Huskies and Friars, so the crowd will be in a froth for sure. Bryce Hopkins is not technically a senior. He will be honored on senior night at Providence on Saturday. So take that for what you will. Oklahoma plays at Ole Miss, 2 Eastern, ESPN2. Sooners must win the game to have an NCAA tournament chance, or at least a resume in the here and now. Same is true of a much tougher test on CBS at 4:30, and that is Cincinnati against Houston. You'll notice CBS is staggering the tips. We know what we're doing over here. That's a really tough ask for Wes Miller. But if I'll tell you what, the Bearcats beat Houston, if they can somehow manage to do that, that's just a huge ask. But if they do it, I would have the Bearcats in the field as of Saturday night, if they can do it. But that's a huge task. A team that I think is going to play its way into the field, and it needs to win the game on Saturday to do so in order to keep building. It won't be in the field with the win, I don't think. But I think we're going to get to Friday, Saturday of conference tournament week, and we're going to say, yeah, they're in. I think it's going to be Xavier. They host Creighton 4:30 Eastern on Saturday on Fox. Sean Miller's team just, been up and down under the surface for the majority of the season. I think they play their way in because if you look at the games they have remaining, they can get the job done, especially if they can get to Friday night of the Big East tournament. I think they've got a chance, and I think they beat Creighton on Saturday. Georgia plays Texas in a double bubble special at 8 Eastern on ESPN2 Saturday. I think you can make the case that both those teams are not in the field right now. In fact, I'm pretty pretty insistent on it personally. Loser is going to really be in some trouble. Winner may well, especially if it's Georgia, gets a win on the road. Could have a shot there. Texas is 1-5 in its last 6 games, and if you're a Texas fan, you need to be rooting for, well, Trey Johnson to go KD again. He had 39 in the loss against Arkansas on Wednesday. That set the freshman record. Durant had it with 37, and Terrence Rencher, 90s baller. Don't forget about Terrence Rencher, kids. But Durant had 37 4 times as a freshman. He went for 30-plus games 11 times as a freshman. Trey Johnson has done it. Like, we look at Trey Johnson like, dude, this has got to be a top 3 pick. He's incredible. He's had 33 games. Durant did it 11 times as a freshman. If you were not there for Durant, it was an absolute revelation. That said, Trey Johnson's been incredible.
You trying to get Trey Johnson in the top 3 for real? Draft Express?
I think there's a chance. I do think he's got a chance. I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that'll be post tournament.
Somebody thinks they're draftexpress.com.
Something like that. 8 Eastern, Georgia, Texas. We'll see which team can get the upper hand there. A&M plays at Florida, 8:30 Eastern, SEC Network. That game will take 3 hours. Arizona, Iowa State, 9 Eastern, ESPN. Good Big 12 matchup. And Iowa State, as noted on the previous show, has not beaten a tournament team since Kansas in mid-January. Can they knock off Arizona? 9 Eastern on Saturday. It's just loaded schedule. West Virginia, BYU, 10 Eastern, ESPN2 on Saturday. BYU's in the field right now. Mountaineers, that's your longest trip. I guess it's either that or Arizona State, but that's a good one. And then Gonzaga, San Francisco, 11 Eastern, ESPN. Just keep an eye on it. Gonzaga will be a lock. In my estimation, that's the final game of this regular season. Gonzaga will be a lock with a win. So you go and if you can win at San Francisco, you're going to be in the field. You lose, we'll see. And then Sunday, CBS Sports Network, 3 Eastern, Murray State, Belmont. Why am I bringing it up? Well, one, it's a CBS Sports Network game, but also Belmont has secured a 15th consecutive 20-win season. There are only 3 other schools where that is the case: Gonzaga, Oregon, and then let me check because this school is about to do it. Hasn't done it. Kansas is at 19 wins. It's going to get to 20, you would think, if Bill Self doesn't retire before the tip-off on Saturday. But those are the only 4 schools with 15 straight years, COVID season included, of at least 20 wins. Belmont's doing a really good job again. And then Sunday, it wasn't in the Final Four and 1, but obviously a super tasty game. Stagger tip again, 3:45 on CBS. It's Illinois at Michigan. Probably going to be a 1-possession game at most, decided by 4 points. So it will be must-watch stuff, and we will podcast after that. Before we get out of here, GP, any thoughts on any of that stuff I want to
Gonzaga San Francisco is big for other reasons as well. The winner will be the 2 seed in the WCC tournament. The loser will be the 3 seed. And maybe that doesn't matter much in most conference tournaments, but in the WCC, the 1 and 2 get advanced all the way into the semifinals. So the Zags lose this weekend, they could end up having to play 1 more game than they typically play in the WCC tournament. I don't know that that'll prevent them from cutting nets, but it would be an unusual path for them.
Yeah, I'm just absolutely stoked and psyched for this weekend. I'll be in studio for CBS Sports HQ in Stamford, Connecticut, per usual on Saturday. So as you're watching the games, either on your phone, bring up the CBS Sports app. Plenty of highlights, analysis, all that good stuff. GP gets the cozy comfort of watching from home and resting up. I want to give a shout out to teams that have gotten it done already. Now, we are wrapping up the regular season at the mid-major level. Like, we already have the ASUN brackets been built. There's a few other conferences that have their brackets assembled. So we've got a banker's dozen, not a baker's. Banker's dozen is 11. Little factoid for you there. These programs have already secured at least a share of the regular season title. Some of these actually have won the outright regular season. Drake, immediately under Ben McCollum, has the MVC title, and then they're going to be a compelling team when they get in the tournament. Alan Huss is 2 for 2 at High Point, has won the Big South. That's a top 90 team at Ken Palm. Will Wade continues to just stroll and kill it in the Southland at McNeese. I will be downright stunned if he's not coaching somewhere else within 7 weeks of today. Pat Scarry has won the CAA at Towson, and he has been doing it for more than 10 years. Few coaches out there, if I see their name pop up on my phone when they call, make me smile more than Pat Scarry, because he is just a great dude to talk to. And I know you and I both kind of posted on Twitter on Thursday night because he was getting up there cutting down a net. And when he started at Towson, he had 1 win. They were 1-31 his first season. And he's had some good teams over the years, hasn't broken through the NCAA tournament. It's going to be tough. CAA is a good league. That could be a situation where the seed 2, 3, 4, 5 in that tournament bracket wins the auto bid. So we'll see. But I mean, come on, man, to see Scary get that moment, GP, that was really cool.
Yeah. And like I tweeted last night, at that level of the sport, there's not a lot of fanfare. You don't win big games and then jump on your private plane and there's 2,000 fans waiting to greet your team back at the airport. And your next game is going to be in front of a sold out arena on America's Most Watched network. Like, that's just not really the way you live. But they put in the hours, man. And I promise you, Pat climbing that ladder last night meant just as much to him as it, is going to mean to Bruce Pearl when he climbs the ladder to cut nets at some point in this regular season as well. And so I promise I'm not getting emotional. I'm just losing my.
You are. It's okay.
I'm just losing my.
I'm about to
losing my voice.
Scary. Yes. No.
But I like watching, like, the symbolism of climbing a ladder and cutting a net. I'm not so whatever that I can't still appreciate that for what it is. I like watching people. It's a symbol of success, and I like watching people experience that. I'm glad Pat got to do that. And then on Ben McCollum, I hope it gives more Division II coaches opportunities at this level. For decades, it feels like you really had to. It wasn't just enough to be a great Division II coach. You had to then go be a Division I assistant and start your climb all over again. It was almost like what you did in D2 didn't even really matter. And we've now got to a point where I think the hiring process among coaches has gotten so much simpler. You don't have to really worry anymore about whether somebody can recruit or has recruited in this part of the country at the high major level. As long as you give your coach, whoever your coach is, an NIL package comparable to the rest of his league, then it's just going to come down to who can identify talent, develop talent, and coach a basketball team. And there are a lot of good coaches at the Division II level. Bennett, accomplished a lot of stuff, and he finally gets a shot. And now look, year one, he's been incredible, absolutely incredible. And if I were an athletic director, I would, look at the best power conference assistants and I'd look at everybody.
Yeah.
But I would also peek at Division II and see who the greats are down there, because, Drake plugged one and it's gone beautifully.
Yeah. Well said on all that. And not even D2, D3. There's a guy, Dave Klatsky at NYU, who's killing it, and he might even get some low major looks here this upcoming cycle as well. Got a few more from ladder climbing to trash can flattening. Omaha in the Summit League getting it done. Dan Earl and Nuga in the SoCon clinched the regular season title. Robert Morris, Bobby Moe gets it done in the Horizon League, and Andy Toole, that's another coach. Like, he's been at Robert Morris for a long time, and he, the past couple of years it's been not so great, but they got it done this year and did a good job there. Lipscomb won the tiebreaker with North Alabama and the ASUN. James Madison, I mentioned Byington before. Preston Spradlin took over that job and has assured that program of at least a share of a Sun Belt title. That's got to feel so good if you're a fan of a program like JMU or a mid-major, and then you lose your coach, and okay, is it going to be another 5 years, 8 years, 12 years till we're good again? JMU living a charmed life with Spradlin, who is a good coach. I'm not surprised by that whatsoever. Southeast Missouri has won the OVC, and then shouts to the Connecticut State University system, Central Connecticut. I'm a Western Connecticut guy, but Central Connecticut under Pat Sellers has done it again in the NEC. They couldn't get it done in the NEC bracket last season. We'll see if these Blue Devils get it done. So those are your. I wanted to get some love to some mid majors, and two more notes for me before we get out of here. One, if you have subscribed to this pod, which you should have, you'll notice we did get a bonus special episode on Thursday. Dan Gavitt, who is in charge of the NCAA tournament and oversees both the men's and women's tournaments in many respects, he hopped on. We wound up going for 50 minutes and talked about a whole bunch of stuff. So if you want to nerd out on the selection committee, and yes, we got into NCAA tournament and where we are with expansion or not, he gave some good stuff in there, and it's worth a listen. Give that a listen or a watch when you can. There's also a story that we broke up for CBSSports.com. And then I know we're going long here, GP, but I can't not give our guy Kyle Boone a big shout out. He went up to Green Bay, wrote a story on Doug Gottlieb. We ran it on Thursday. He did a tremendous job. this was the first time he had gotten on a plane to do a feature, and it was a worthwhile subject. Green Bay did win Thursday night, by the way, to get its 4th win of the season. But some of the scenes that KB got were incredible. I mean, one of the opposing team buses backed into Gottlieb's car after a game. The main tunnel, or the vomitorium, like in and out of the home arena, is called the F tunnel, and FUCK. And read the story, read the intro. It's a really good lead, because as Boone describes it, the first word you get out of Gottlieb is bleep, is F. I think someone hit my car. He got hit by a snowplow. Give it a read. He did a wonderful job. It's obviously been a fascinating situation, because Gottlieb desperately wanted to be a head coach, but he's maintained his radio job. It's not going well. And it is created, a situation where people are kind of looking from afar at, like, what the hell's going on up there? And, like, KB did an awesome job. So I wanted to give him a shout out. If you have not yet read it, we will link it in this podcast episode description as well. On just he knocked it out of the park. I'm really proud of him.
He was great. I was glad that he was given the opportunity to go do that, and then that he, took the time to do it well and execute it perfectly. And we get these little reports every morning that show us, like, who's clicking on what, and best I can tell, it did really well too. Like, there was an audience for it, and so I thought he painted a accurate picture of Doug Gottlieb in the year 2025 and all that entails. And so, absolutely, awesome that our bosses put him in a position to go do it, and then awesome that he was able to do it as well as he did. If you haven't read it yet, absolutely go read it. You can find it cbssports.com. Is that a show? We ready to get out of here?
GP? That's a show.
All right, let's go. Devin Downey, shouts to you. Shouts to Chester, South Carolina. Shouts to Terry Teagle, legend. Huck Larnell, thank you guys once again for watching and listening to the Eye on College Basketball Podcast. If you're not subscribed, please go subscribe. Anyway, subscribe to podcasts, Apple, Spotify. More of us than there are of them. That should be reflected in the comments. So do that, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Till then, take care.